Alright, another helpful video. Well, I hope that the video is helpful. I believe that I have problem with my stator. The first thing that I want to comment is I did a very decent job on the bike in general with all the mechanic work, drilling and tapping all my stuff and putting my brakes and customize my lines and everything else, but I really did a very poor job on the electrical end of it. A couple of things for you guys to go through if you guys do your own build. One of the things is make sure that your coil is properly grounded into your frame. Remember, these frames, they come in powder coated, and even though the screw goes through the threads, if the threads they have some paint, you might not have a good ground. Over here where the motor mounts into these two brackets also will be powder coat and paint on it. So these nuts, they're not really sitting well on the frame. So one of the things that I just recently did is back up the bolts and grind and clean around these. So these washers, they sit on the frame itself. As you guys can see right here, I took a file and I broke all the powder coating, which is really thick, and ground my coil really good. So the coil is grounded to there, but the frame is grounded. Okay, that's one of the things. Over here, this is a typical setup of just about any motor. They have a lighting output on the stator. Out of the stator, you're gonna find a ground wire. Green is ground. The pickup, which is the blue and white. Okay, that's go to the blue and white on your CDI. And this is your power source, black and red. And this black and red also goes to your CDI. So out of your CDI, you have a black and red, a blue and white, and a green. And those three wires, they get hooked on the same order right here. And then you have your lighting output. These two wires, they turn alternator current or AC current through your rectifier, which these two wires, they go to the rectifier. The rectifier get grounded, and charging a red lead, it will go into your battery. And that's how the regulator rectifier, because alternator current, as you give in throttle to your bike and your RPMs goes up, you generate in 6 volts, 8 volts, 10 volts, 15 volts, 20 volts, and 20 volts or whatever voltage, it'll be too much and you will be frying your battery and you'll be burning your lights. So the reason of the regulator rectifier, which I have one right here, and I'm gonna show you guys then why I took all this apart, because I had a big mess in it. This is the regulator rectifier. Okay, the upper right is gonna be one of the yellow wires, and the bottom left, it'll be another yellow wire. This is gonna be my red wire right here, which fits the battery, and the one that I don't have a wire yet, it gets grounded into the frame, which I grounded into the frame. So the leftover power from the extra 20 volts or whatever voltage is generating as turning in high RPMs is gonna ground into the frame and dissipate. So you're only getting maybe 13 and change, 14 volts max on your battery. By the way, this is what I put my battery in it, under the shock, nothing touch. It looks good and it works fine. Okay, so what I did is I put bullet terminals in here, and I put the males on this side because the females are on the stator coming out of here. So the next problem that I had is the bike was acting up and I was burning coils. The reason that I was burning coils, because if you take a voltage meter, right, and you put it to AC power on 200, and then you take your black lead and ground it, I'm pretending, and you take in your red lead and put it right here and you kick your bike, this meter should shoot about anywhere from over 50 to 100 and 120, maybe 150 AC volts. Okay, and that's enough to send the signal through the black and red and the blue and white wire into your CDI to time, and your coil will be generating about 60,000 volts, I imagine, into your spark plug. Alright, I was getting too much voltage because I was frying my stator. Okay, so now the stator went the other way around. I got a new coil, I ground it, I put all my grounded into the frame. I did ohm testing. This is the testing for the ohms. That's the ohm symbol, and this is for sound. And basically what it does is, if you put the negative on this end and you follow this yellow wire to the stator and you take it to the other side and you feel the beep, that means this wire is continuing power through it. So I did an ohm test, and actually I have ohm on all my wires, including this wire. But right now, if I ground this into the bike right there, and I take the other lead and I put it right here on my black and red wire that comes out of the stator, and I take the bike and I kick it, I'm only getting about 20 volts, 20 AC volts. Not enough. So when the voltage coming into the CDI doesn't even send any signal, so I'm getting no spark. So I just ordered a new stator, and I'm gonna be taking these 8mm bolts. There are 4 of them here, and I'm gonna pull these guys out, and I'm gonna show you the stator, and I'm gonna show you how I ohm test it. But I told you already, I'm not getting the right amount of voltage.